Hello dear sinceres. So today this video is about the full moon in Sagittarius that is happening today at 11:51 UK time. And if you're new and you don't know much about full moons are usually periods of heightened energies where this can be a bit overwhelming and people can get a bit overstimulated, oversensitive, feel a lot of emotions, be feeling stressed, tense, because these energies are very intense. And usually it's the times where also you hear mostly about crimes happening, accidents and things like that. It's also not a great period to start new things, but more to kind of take time to reflect, meditate, to forgive, to let go. But more about this full moon. So this full moon in Sagittarius is also a supermoon. And what that means is that it's going to be closer to the earth and look very large and big in the sky, which in a way is going to intensify energies. Good thing is that it's a Sagittarius moon, which tends to bring a Jupiterian, more kind of light-hearted way of being. So optimism, adventure, joy, higher knowledge, brings us also kind of a sense of relief, wanting to have fun, wanting to explore, wanting to go on adventures, wanting to expand, of feeling like people feel like they just want to celebrate and they just want to kind of get together, and that life has joy about it, a kind of joy of life. But if we look at the shadow side of these energies, then this can also bring irresponsibility, being overly confident, arrogant, opinionated, fanatic, preachy, even somewhat patronizing, fear of committing. Yeah, these are the negative things. On the positive, again, we also hear about laws, entertainment, justice. We can reach for new perspectives, realization of profound truths, or profound truths being explored around the world, trying to find meaning, a deeper meaning to things, to life. Talks about spirituality, finding a mentor, a spiritual guide, to find higher studies, and our belief systems, our philosophy, which can be altered, which can be changed as well and explored. And in this configuration of the full moon in Sagittarius, we also have a difficult aspect, a T-square with Neptune. And we have like a sextile trine, depending if you look at the sun and the moon, with Saturn. And in a way, this is kind of good because Neptune square, what it does, it brings kind of a Neptune tends, in the negative side, tends to makes us go on this kind of more cloudy fantasy type of perception, where we don't really see things clearly, where everything is so foggy, so confusing, so messy. It also can lead us to attitudes and behaviors that can be escapism, avoiding dealing with reality, avoiding dealing with what's in front of us, and trying to make it something that it's not, to take it to a fantasy life, fantasy world, to make it something that allows us to feel better about what's going on, but actually not see what's going on or deal with it. It also can lead us to vices, to addictions, to try to just be numbing ourselves with activities and habits that are unhealthy. Can lead us to disappointment, to be disillusioned, to kind of, this with a Sagittarius moon can exacerbate a bit the tendency to be overly optimistic and think things gonna be more better. They're gonna be better than we imagine. They're gonna be better than actually they turn out to be, and be a kind of a bit of a mixture of being overly optimistic, but overly optimistic as a dreamer that doesn't really has the foot down, set down, grounded in the earth. But then the sextile and trine with Saturn, with this full moon, what it does then, it's kind of brings the balance to this influence of Neptune, the square of Neptune, where we have the opportunity to ground ourselves, to structure, to look at reality, to be more realistic, to be more pragmatic, more practical. It also, Saturn always brings us an aspect of fear. But if we really think about, and this is harmonious aspect to Saturn, that fear sometimes allows us to not be the type of not go and do things that could be dangerous. If you think, for example, children, it's so easy for small children to just go on the street, on the road, and run while cars are passing by and not care about anything because they're not afraid of anything. But that can have a disastrous consequence because they can be run by a car and they can get injured or even die. The parents, though, because of that fear of what might happen, and that's what allows them to take action and stop the child from going on the road and being run down by a car or getting an accident. Because the parents are aware of the risks, they are aware of the reality that we live in, where if you get run by a car, you can get severely injured and die. So it's really important to have the Saturnian aspects in our lives, because otherwise we would just jump off a cliff. We would just run onto the road without looking, and suffer the consequences of not having that care, that realistic point of view of looking, hey, if we just go and we don't fear the consequences that could be negative, we don't stop ourselves from doing something that can be detrimental to ourselves, to our health, to our lives. So in the positive side, this fear would allow us to not take reckless decisions, make reckless actions, because the Neptune makes us very dreamy and fantasizing about life and the world, and sometimes in a more kind of escapist way, with addictions and things like that. And the Jupiter, even though it's in Aries, Aries is a sign that is impulsive, is a sign that doesn't think too much before they act, and Jupiter has that extraordinary optimism that everything's going to be fine, and sometimes that can lead to certain irresponsibility. So this Saturn actually is our saving grace, the way I look at it, because it's what the planet that will allows us to be more grounded, to think things through before we act, to really analyze and consider the consequences of our actions, influenced by Jupiter in Aries, for example, which is also being conjunct with Mars. And brings us maturity and wisdom, and a more structured and pragmatical attitude to our lives, more down to earth in considering, hey, like, okay, it's good to dream, it's good to imagine, fantasize, be optimistic, but let's also take care of practical things, of what we need to do right now, of making sure that we stay alive and stay safe. The good thing about this Jupiter Mars conjunction, which is kind of already separating, I believe it's separating. I don't have the chart in front of me. In Aries, is that it can brings us an energy of optimism and of moving forward, of taking the risks, of mm, go for our dreams, go for what we want, and also be a little bit more self-focused, more focused on what we want to accomplish, what we want to achieve with life. And to trust ourselves, trust our intuition, because Jupiter has a side of intuition. And if you use Neptune influence in a positive way, we can actually access that higher intuition and find pathways. Though it's kind of dangerous when it's a square, because a square can actually make our intuition a little bit more confusing and foggy. We may not see things so clearly. So if I were to advise you during this epoch, just think things through really before you act. Think a little bit and try to be very practical and measure all of the pros and cons of the good things and the bad things that could happen, because not all the time will be clear, the path will be clear and things will be clear. But this Jupiter Mars will propel us to try to achieve things, to try to go for what we want and what we love, and what we want to achieve in our lives. And it's just a matter of balancing this Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter with Mars happening in the skies at the moment. Then on the opposite end of this moon in Sagittarius, we have the Mercury ruled Sun in Gemini. And Mercury is at 0 degree in Gemini, which brings this new energy, a strong influence to the Sun. And so communication, information, thoughts, ideas, creativity, because Geminis can be quite creative. It's very important, this flux of lots of ideas, lots of imagination and things that can come to our mind that we can use to create new things, to even though the full moon is not good to create, but the energies of the Mercury in Gemini at 0 degree is great to create new things. Another thing with this Mercury in Gemini and Sagittarius full moon, it's another theme that is very connected to traveling, very connected to local travels and to travels abroad, global travels. So we have this full moon in Sagittarius, which will talk about traveling, but because Mercury, which rules the Gemini, is also entering Gemini, there will be there could be possibility for local travels as well, or local journeys. And the other thing we also have in this full moon chart is Mars conjunct Chiron, which can give us bursts of a warrior energy that is coming out of us, very connected. So Chiron is very connected to collective pain and to wounds, and this may be a theme of feeling in a way that we can deal with this. We can go forward, we can propel forward. We don't have time to cry over what's gone, because what's gone is gone, and we need to get going, we need to get on with it. So we have this more proactive warrior energy that wants to heal, that wants to move forward, that wants to go for it, that just wants to move. Because Chiron, actually, the mythology of Chiron is that he was a wounded healer, but he was a warrior. The way he became a healer was because he, along with his centaur brothers, was in a fight, in a war, and he got wounded. And he knew, I think he knew, or he was given access to this fountain or river that was healing, had healing properties, because his brothers in battle had got wounded, and himself as well. And he knew about this property, fountain or river, and so he was giving this liquid, this elixir, to his brothers to heal them, in order to heal them. But anytime he was going to finally take a cup to heal himself, another centaur would come, and he was never able to actually take that cup to himself and heal himself. And so Chiron talks about wounds, even to some degrees, traumatic wounds, traumatic traumas that we've lived. And because Chiron is in Aries and has this conjunction to Mars, it can give us a burst of a warrior energy and wanting to get on with it. Okay, we don't have time to waste. Let's just get going and heal this and do what we can to provide the necessary cure and the necessary healing. And this can go from our society, our collective, to the planetary healing. Then we have Pluto also trining Venus in Taurus, which Venus is in Taurus is quite well positioned. She's very strong. Pluto calls for transformation, also for crisis and transformation. So, because Venus is associated with relationships, it can call us to make a check on what's going on in our relationships, what transformations we want to do in our relationships, or even our physical appearance to some degree, or to reflect on the food we eat, because it's a Taurus sign, our tastes. This Venus is not gonna necessarily be on the day of the full moon, but is already making this aspect with Pluto. And on the 16th, in 2 days, Venus will also be conjuncting the North Node and the Moon. So on the 16th, we're going to have Venus conjunct with the North Node, and Pluto and Moon will be together. And they will be trining, the Venus North Node will be trining Moon and Pluto. And so this will be asking, because this is a harmonious aspect, can lead us to reflect a little bit more on our relationships. So this can open a portal to manifestation, where we can reflect the direction we want to take on our lives and what we want to change, what we want to transform. Because the North Node usually is the direction we are meant to take in life, the lessons we need to integrate. And at the same time, we can have some synchronicities, opportunities, magical moments that can show up and can be very life-altering and take us to a different direction. And so this is a very short video to talk a little bit about this full moon that is happening today, of full moon in Sagittarius. I hope you've enjoyed this. If so, please remember to press like and subscribe below and share it with your friends. And if you want to know more about readings and the type of readings that I offer, please visit me at cynthiasincere.com, and you also get some free gifts once you subscribe. I hope to see you next time in the next video, and enjoy this beautiful full moon in Sagittarius. May the cosmos and the stars be with you.